Square in Georgetown and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host.
And good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today. Tyson Sewell. I'm sitting in for Sterling this afternoon. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Listen, it has been something yesterday. I don't know who is still wet from yesterday, but it was an interesting day. And we were over it, and I started to see the blue skies yesterday. And then 3 o'clock this morning, I heard a big downpour. I was like, don't you dare. Don't you dare. But we're coming back with more Talk Today. Stay tuned.
To avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Radio Cayman Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. Yes, Tyson Sewell, I'm your host this afternoon. And yesterday I was riding with you too, and it was something else. And yes, this morning I said, don't you dare. And God said, mind your business. I'm a mind mine, you mind yours. Because you know what? When it's too hot and it's too dry, everybody wants some rain. So you take what you get. And their blessings, and see, outside's beautiful and it's hot again, and we're about to complain about the heat again. So, it's just, that's life. And I have this little thing that I meditate on sometimes. It's called rules for a good life, short rules. And one of them is don't suffer imagined troubles. And I love that. It means a lot. It can mean something different for you. What it means for me is that sometimes we think something's a problem and it's not a problem, and now we made it a problem because we thought it was a problem. I hope you followed me with that one. But yeah, exactly. So don't suffer imagined problems, because yesterday is gone. Today is a new day, and here we are. I have some guests in the studio. I'm going to go straight to them and welcome them this afternoon from the Cayman Turtle Center. I have in the studio, and in no order at all, I'm going to maybe age. Dr. Walter Mustin. I'm going to start with age, or beauty. Should I start with beauty? I'm going to start with age. Dr. Walter Mustin, the Chief Research and Conservation Officer. Hi there. Good afternoon. And we have Miss, and I'm going to stop at the age thing because I'm not getting any problems in here now. We do have Whitney Foster, who's the marketing manager. Hi, Whitney.
Hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. You got on a different shirt.
Yeah.
Exciting. All right. And we have Dr. Vandana. Yes?
Vandana, yes.
Vandana?
Yeah.
Babulal, and we're going to call her Dr. Navi.
Yes.
Just to make my life easier, too. And we also have Miss Shona McGill. She's Education Programs Officer and Turtle Release Coordinator. Yes. That's a big old title,
it's
Shona.
It's a very big title, yeah.
It is. Dr. Vandana is a veterinarian. And we also have Ms. Bendy Dandy. She's an Education Programs Officer. Thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. Okay, we're going to get right to it. What are we talking about? Can we just get maybe a brief background of the Cayman Turtle Center? Because the first thing I said was Turtle Farm, and somebody was like, stop with the F words in here. So come on, tell us what we need to know, Ms. Shona.
So we've gone through a lot of changes over the couple of years, so most people will know us as that, but we've actually been around since 1968 and celebrated over 55 years of sea turtle conservation here in the Cayman Islands. And there's a very good reason why we focus on sea turtles. They are very important to us here in Cayman, right, Wendy?
Yeah, they are. Thanks for that leeway, Shauna. So the green sea turtle is quite intimate. We have a quite intimate relationship with the green sea turtle here in the Cayman Islands. As we know, it's on our national flag, it's on our coat of arms, our seal, and our currency. And our people have a close relationship for centuries with the green sea turtle. Most people are familiar with it, and some aren't that familiar. But from the beginning, from our first discovery, Cayman has always been known to have the largest colony of green sea turtles, with over 2 million sea turtles found nesting here on the islands. And with over 2 million sea turtles nesting on the islands. So that was always on the map, and what put us on the map initially with the first voyagers down from the New World. So the Portuguese, the Spanish, the British, the Dutch, they all came down and they all stopped here at the islands to store their ships and stock their ships with fresh sources of meat in order to explore further down into the Caribbean. So when our first settlers came to the island, they noticed that the soil is quite poor here on islands, so they had to turn to the sea. So they always relied on forms of turtling, and turtling also became our first form of economy as well. So the green sea turtle has always had a very close relationship with our islands, and as Shauna said, in 1968, we formed the Mariculture Limited, and from there we've been doing our conservation efforts since the 80s, releasing turtles into the wild.
So is there a reason why we don't call it the turtle farm anymore? Like, what's the reason behind that?
It's just the negative associations with that word, and also we're a lot more than that too. Conservation and education are in our name, and we're very focused on that. As you can see, we have 2 education programs officers in here this morning, and we're very much focused on just raising the awareness of sea turtles, how important they are, and also raising awareness on why we need to conserve them.
Okay. Yeah, because I know, I mean, you've been around for a long time, and for the people that are accustomed to calling it that, then it's just good information really to know like why that's changed and what you're doing now versus what you were doing.
Exactly.
Yes. And that's very interesting information as well that Wendy just shared, that we were actually we used to sell it. We were one of the islands that sold it to other people, because a lot of people don't even know, like when I mentioned that I love turtle meat, they're like, you eat turtle? What is that,
Yeah, it wasn't just a thing here, it was a worldwide thing. I mean, when we had early settlers, it's how they relied on the ocean, but it's also how the colonizers made their way through the Caribbean. You had, as Wendy said, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, the Spanish, and they were sending that to places like the US and the UK. But it is also what led to the depletion of sea turtles here. We had estimated over 2 million, but by the time we had settlers here, that number had massively declined because they were mostly going after breeding females, because it was easy to get them when they were on shore versus the ocean. So that did lead to a massive decline here in Cayman, and the sea turtle was actually considered functionally extinct, which means there wasn't enough in the wild to sustain the population.
Okay. So going from 2 million to what now? What's the population now?
That's very hard to say. A lot of people will tell you, I go swimming and I see sea turtles all the time. And that's true. There are a lot of juvenile sea turtles, but it can take them 20 to 30 years to become sexually mature and reproduce properly.
Okay.
And it's really hard to actually calculate the number of nesting females because they'll nest multiple times a year. So our best guess of population is taking how many females you can calculate are nesting. And right now we think that might be in the hundreds, but it is very hard to detect because you won't be able to tell males how many breeding males there are, and you also won't be able to tell how many juveniles there are out there either.
Okay. And so we're here kind of talking about the release programs at the Cayman Turtle Center. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've been around since 1968, so that's over 55 years of conservation. And we've sort of pioneered techniques in terms of the husbandry of the green sea turtle, but also the release programs of green sea turtles too. Since our start, we've released over 36,000 green sea turtles into the wild, which is very important to us. And we've had massive success. We've tracked turtles that have been released by us and come back here to nest. And we were facing a lot of success in breeding the green sea turtle, which is an endangered species. So because we were having such success with them, we were actually sent a few Kemp's Ridleys quite a while ago, which is the most endangered sea turtle in the world, or considered the most endangered sea turtle in the world. And they only nest in one portion of the Gulf of Mexico. And we were one of the first places, or the first places, Walter can correct me on that if I'm wrong, to breed them in captivity. And we actually sent back a few head-started Kemp's Ridleys back to Mexico to be released.
Okay. All right. So, you started that program. When did you start that release program?
Our releases have been going on since 1979, 1980.
Okay. All right. And so what's some of the research that has been done, or what's going on, Dr. Walter?
Yeah, well, generally we do what's called applied research. So what's that? That's real problems and evidence-based science used to solve these problems and scientific methods. So ideally you solve a problem that's helpful and brings conservation success, and you have it peer-reviewed and publish it and share it worldwide. So let me give you an example. So if you're going to manage an endangered species like the green that takes 20 or 30 years to reach sexual maturity, and you're encountering them around the world, turtle rehab centers, turtles caught in nets, whatever, it'd be handy to know how old the turtles you're encountering are.
Right.
So there's a lot of variation between carapace width and length, which is a standard metric, and how their diet and their water temperatures affect those lengths. So you could have a large turtle that's very young. You could have, vice versa, an older turtle that's small. So it'd be good to know, do you have enough adult age turtles? Do you have enough subadults? What's the population structure? Everybody knows how to age a tree. You count the rings. If it's a fallen tree, if it's a living tree, you can take a borer and count the rings in the plug and just count them up. So there's no easy way to age a green sea turtle until recently. And I won't say it's easy, but we did get involved in research that's helped that. So we were contacted by a researcher who asked whether we were aware that certain loci of green sea turtles' DNA accumulate these methyl groups as they get older. So that's a CH3 molecule. And Dr. Navi and I were interested because it sounded like a good way to age a turtle. So we asked, we use biopsy punches to get DNA fingerprints from our breeders already. It's a little mechanical device that takes a 3 ml sample of muscle tissue. And we asked the researcher, our collaborator, whether he could isolate DNA from a biopsy punch, and would he be able to measure methylation. He said he thought he could, because muscle DNA has DNA that can be extracted, and methylation could be measured. So we got some biopsy punches and sent him samples in southern Australia. We stipulated that it would be very handy if we could store them in ethyl alcohol instead of a sub-zero freezer. So a field biologist would have easy access to alcohol, and you could store that sample for forever. He received the samples in 4 days. It tracked through UPS, and then they got stuck in Australian customs for 2 months. So 65 days later, he got hold of them and took them to the lab and was able to isolate DNA and methylation. So that's where we came in. That was good news. We went to tanks that had known 1-year-olds, and we got 10 samples from them, 10 different biopsy bunches. We went to the tank that had known 2-year-olds. We knew they were 2-year-olds, and we got samples from 10 of them. We went back to the breeder pond. We went through various tanks where we had known age turtles, and we went back to the breeder pond where we had older known age breeders, 20, 30, 40 years old. We got biopsy punches from them. And what we did was get the average of the methylation for each age group, and we plotted it, hoping that we wouldn't get a scattergram, just a random bit of dots up there. In fact, we got data that fit a curve, a nice curve, which is what we wanted. We submitted it for publication, and it was received and published last year in the Journal of, Molecular Ecology Resources, peer-reviewed journal. So how would you use that? So if you're in Boston where a green sea turtle's been cold stunned and rescued by people up there, you could get a biopsy punch, send the sample, have it methylation read, and know that it's a 32-year-old or a 20-year-old or a 15-year-old. You look at the methylation, go down your chart and see what the age is. Okay. So it's a step. It can be improved. It's the first step, as many of these research projects are. But it's going to help researchers worldwide better manage that population.
All right. Okay.
So that's an example.
Yeah.
Now a current example that involves DOE that maybe you would like
We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we'll continue with that. Stay tuned for more Talk Today.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet. Because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh. Mango season, you gotta love it. The Cayman Islands National Museum is pleased to feature Lukia, the family-friendly Mango Fest at the museum, Saturday, July 6th from 4 to 8 p.m. Purchase mangoes and other products by local artisans and specialty vendors, local food, live music, mango peeling, and eating competition. Take in all the sweet and unique flavors of the long, round, Julie mango, and so many more. Lukia at the museum on the waterfront. Saturday, July 6th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Lukia is proudly sponsored by the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism.
Father's Day is coming up. Create the perfect gift with a custom gift basket from Savannah Pharmacy. Choose from a variety of items including grooming kits, teas, coffee mugs, wallets, and for his office desk, a unique selection of nautical gifts and stationery. Personalize your Father's Day gift basket and keep the basket too. Visit Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call 946-3336 to get all your Father's Day essentials. Prescription refills made easy at Savannah Pharmacy. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
And welcome back to Talk Today. Catherine Tyson Sewell. I'm sitting in for Sterling. And what's on our mind this afternoon? Green turtles and the Cayman Turtle Center. And I have a band of yes in here. I had to find seats. I had to make space. And I'm so happy because sometimes I'm here by myself. So, you know, blessings. You can't curse your blessings. Shona McGill, Education Programs Officer and Turtle Release Coordinator. We have Wendy Dandy, who's an Education Programs Officer, Whitney Foster, who's the Marketing Manager, as well as Dr. Walter Mustin, who's the Chief Research and Conservation Officer, as well as Dr. Navi, who's the veterinarian. And before the break, we were starting with you. So let's start with you again to just talk about just jumping off of what Dr. Walter was talking about in terms of the research.
Yeah, so as Dr. Walter explained, we do applied research at the Cayman Turtle Center, and recently we collaborated with the Department of Environment on a very interesting project. So some members from the Department of Environment reached out to us saying that they had a project they wanted help to work on, and it was to train a dog for sea turtle detection. This has been done in a few other countries, and when I was at a sea turtle conference last year, they were mentioning that this was a successful thing because you could have the dog on the beach and it could detect if turtles had been misoriented, or if someone was trying to poach a turtle, the dog could detect the scent. So there is a dog called Belle. She's a golden retriever, very smart dog. Her owner is Stephanie, who works at the Department of Environment. And basically what we did was help them with samples from our turtles. So when our turtles came up to lay during the season, we took the non-viable eggs that we know weren't going to hatch, and we gave it to them for Belle to try to smell the eggs. So they initially tried to bury the eggs. Well, first they gave her the eggs to smell and then buried the eggs, and she was fantastic with finding them. So then we moved on to hatchlings. So they actually came to the Turtle Center and took swabs from the hatchlings. So nothing was very invasive. It's so simple to just swab a hatchling and get the scent. And they tried to see if that would work, and she successfully found those scents as well.
Wow.
So they recently posted on social media yesterday about this. So you guys can check it out on the Department of Environment social media. And we also shared the post. But that's applied research because now they can take Belle out and she can help with any hatchlings that have been disoriented due to artificial lighting, which is a big problem right now on the beaches.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so is that something that you'd be interested in other dog owners getting involved with as well?
Because this is a trained dog, I think, this work will have to be done with the Department of Environment, and they would have to take the lead on that. I think,
Okay.
they're now starting this project. So we're not encouraging anyone to just go out with their dog, to look for hatchlings.
Yeah, we want to make sure that message is there, because
Exactly.
there will be, 10 dog owners and then eating the turtles or
Yes,
something.
exactly.
So, yes,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. That's quite interesting. I'm still on Sea Turtle Conference that you said. Where was that? I'm just like, where was that?
Yes, so there are so many people worldwide passionate about sea turtles.
Wow.
So I attended the International Sea Turtle Conference last year, and it was held in Cartagena in Colombia, and it was amazing to see the research coming out from people. Yeah, I was blown away.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were able to also get some ideas to bring back as well.
Exactly, and also able to offer feedback from the research we're doing here. We had some posters with collaborations that we did and some talks with presentations that we were part of as well.
Well, that's really great. That is awesome. I know before we even continue with the kind of release success, I know Shona McGill as well as Wendy Dandy's here to talk about that sort of stuff. Whitney, I want to bring you in because there's something happening this weekend. So, we'll touch back on it, but just in case, sometimes people are tuning in and then they're getting out of the car and they get back in. So tell us a little bit about what's happening this weekend.
Absolutely. So it's a very exciting weekend for us at Cayman Turtle Center because it is World Sea Turtle Day, and we will be celebrating with a Sea Turtle Festival. It kicks off on Friday with a turtle release at 10 a.m. from Governor's Beach. That is free and open to the public. We will be releasing 3 head-started turtles, so that's going to be a very exciting opportunity to really see the conservation work in play and to meet the team as well if you're interested. So you can come out to that at 10 a.m. at Governor's Beach on Friday. We are also inviting the public, organizations, and schools to dress in green on Friday in support of green sea turtle conservation. If you take photos and post them on social media, please feel free to tag us. You can also hashtag green for greens and then head over to turtle.ky to submit any donations that your team or your organization has raised for that. And then lastly, on Saturday, the big sort of celebration event, which I'm really excited for, is going to be at Cayman Turtle Center from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will be having the Sea Turtle Festival Family Fun Day that will have a whole bunch of different organizations collaborating with us. First off, children 12 and under will get in free when they bring 3 pieces of plastic to recycle with junk. So Junk will be on site teaching kids about recycling and making sure that they understand the importance of recycling on such a small island. And then once you enter the center, Art for You will be on site doing arts and crafts with recyclable materials. The DOE will be on site with our education team, and they will be hosting different turtle activities that are both educational and fun. And then we will have, as always on Saturdays, live DJ by the pool, food and drink specials, games with tons of prizes to win, and all children that attend will get candy on their way out.
Nice. All right. So that's the festival family fun day.
Yes. It's going to be a good time.
And at 10 a.m. on Friday on Governor's Beach.
Correct.
Anyone can come and just
wander up. I highly suggest a hat, sunscreen, and water because we cannot guarantee shade.
And it takes a while too. You can't
sometimes they're
how
sleepy.
It depends on the turtle,
Yeah. Sometimes they're really excited to get in the water, and sometimes it takes a little time, but it's equally special every opportunity to watch them take those first steps into the water. So highly encourage people to come check it out.
All right. I want to talk a little bit more about release success then, Shona. Bring you and Wendy back into the conversation. And then I really wanted, I don't know, any of you can address this, why it is so important to us as Caymanians, why any of this is important to us. Because I think, we live in a time in our lives where we're just consumers and we don't realize that there is an end, and there can be an end if we're not careful or conscientious, right? And so I'd like to talk about that a little bit, just why this is so important.
Yeah, so I can definitely go into release success, and then I'll hand over to Wendy for her to speak about the importance of sea turtles, because they are really important. But since our start, we've released over 36,000 green sea turtles, as I said, and that's through various methods that we've perfected over the years. So we have quite a few methods that we have done in the past that we do currently. One of the first ones was we took captive bred sea turtle eggs and implanted them on local beaches, and that was called a nest translocation. And those eggs were implanted within 10 days of hatching. So we knew when the hatchlings would come out, or at least we could anticipate them coming out, and we had someone watching over that nest to ensure that the hatchlings all emerged. But sadly, temperature is becoming a thing in the wild, and their nests are dependent on temperature, whether the hatchlings emerge as male or females, but also if it gets too hot, the eggs might not be viable. So we are now switching to other methods because sadly with climate change, it's only going to get warmer, sadly, unless we do something about it. So we have quite a few different release methods too. So we have 2 hatchling releases. One of the main ones is the evening nighttime hatchling release, and that's when we'll take green sea turtle hatchlings that are a couple of days after hatching, so usually around 3 to 5 days.
Right.
And we'll take them to the beach at night and release them like they would emerge from their nests. And we'll use red light at that release event because sea turtles can't see the red wavelength that great. So it prevents those turtles from becoming disorientated. One of my favorites, although a little bit daunting, is called a jumpstart release. And that's when we'll take hatchlings out on a boat, pass the drop off into that deep blue indigo water, and search out sargassum seaweed rafts. Now, for the longest time, we referred to the time when turtle hatchlings were out in the open ocean and then between coming back as an adult as the lost years, because we didn't know where they went and we couldn't track them. And now we know they search out these sargassum seaweed rafts. So we bypass most of their predators concentrated closer to shore, implant them there. It's shelter, it's food, and it gives them good protection for their first few years of life. Okay. So we hope that that greatly reduces their risk of predation.
Okay.
And then finally is what we will be doing on Friday, which is the head started turtle release. So as the name implies, we give the turtles a head start. We raise them at the center till they're usually between 1 to 3 years old. Their shell is fully hardened, and their predation risk is minimal, definitely compared to hatchlings, which have a 1 in 1,000 survival rate. Because at that point, their only real predators out in the ocean are large sharks, large mammals, and then potentially humans.
Okay. And these turtles are tagged?
Yeah, so we've gone through quite a few changes over time. We, once upon a time, used titanium flipper tags, and we got a lot of feedback from that. So we couldn't exactly track where in the world they went with those, but we put out a message that said, hey, if you find this tag, contact us, we'll send you $5 US. And we got hits from places as north in the Caribbean as the Florida Keys and as far south as Venezuela, as well as the whole wider Caribbean. So that showed us that our releases weren't just affecting us here in Cayman, but the wider Caribbean too.
Okay.
We also did something called living tags, which we no longer do, and that's sort of like a tattoo system where we took a portion of the skin on the plastron and put it on their shells. And we got feedback from those. There were females coming back to breed with these living tags. But we've sort of diverged from both of those now and use a less invasive method, which is a pit tag, which is not it's not a satellite tag, but it's sort of like a microchip you give your pet dog or pet cat, and that gets implanted in their shoulders, and that'll actually stay with them for their whole entire life. Okay. But the downside is those can only be applied to head-started turtles, because tags have to be a certain portion of body size, and sadly hatchling sea turtles are way too small for that.
Okay.
But we do have the universal tag of DNA with all our breeders at the center.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more. Please stay tuned to Talk Today.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Celebrate Father's Day with Digicel. This Father's Day, give Dad the gift of better connectivity with Digicel. Switch Dad to Digicel and get 50% off the plan for the next 3 months. It's the perfect way to show your appreciation and keep Dad connected. Switching is easy. Visit your nearest Digicel store today. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Make this Father's Day one to remember with Digicel. Better connected.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens. and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
The Council of Older Persons is proud to present the first Aging in the Cayman Islands Forum. This forum will be held on Saturday, 15th of June at Sir Vassal Johnson Hall at UCCI and is free to the public and open to all ages. Registration will open at 8:30. Presenters and topics aim to truly reflect the needs of Caymanians and residents so we can all age with dignity. For more information, visit www.gov.ky/Older Persons Council.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
And welcome back to Talk Today. Catherine Tyson Sewell. I'm sitting in for Sterling, and we are talking to representatives of the Cayman Turtle Center. There's just a range of guests today that really is just, keeping us up to date on everything that's going on at the Cayman Turtle Center, from the background to the research to the release, and obviously the World Sea Turtle Day. And I'm saying obviously because we were just talking about that before the break. That's going to be this weekend on Sunday, but there's going to be some amazing things happening on Friday and Saturday. And somebody asked how much it was for the adults. And I think we did not say how much it was for the adults, but it's about, you said maybe?
Yeah, so on Saturday for the Sea Turtle Festival, that is 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., children 12 and under get in free when they bring 3 pieces of plastic to recycle. And adults, if they have a local ID, so Cayman Islands driver's license, voter's registration card, any sort of identification that proves residency, it is $15 CI.
Okay, there you go. So children under 12, bring all of them just to get the neighborhood kids.
There's tons of activities to entertain them. And plus, it's a long weekend, right? So it's a great opportunity to do something different, to have a little bit of fun, and then, take them home tired at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can rest on Monday.
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend from Switzerland, and he used to say, rest is for the dead. but apparently they say that in their language, so it probably sounds better than that. So quite interesting. We will continue with the conversation, though we're getting ready to wrap up, and the news is right around the corner. But I had asked the question about the importance of sea turtles because I think it's a part of our history, and I know also it's a favorite dish. And so sometimes you can get the complaints from, residents that are saying, well, why can't we just eat to our heart's content? And so are you going to talk to us a little bit about that, Ms. Wendy?
Yeah, sure. As you said, we're wrapping up soon, so I'll try to make it brief and quick. But the green sea turtle is very important to the islands, as I said in the beginning, in a number of ways, environmentally, culturally, and historically. Green sea turtles are what we call a keystone species. And a keystone species could be anything from a shark to a sea urchin. What a keystone species is, it's an organism that helps define an entire ecosystem. So basically, without it, Without the presence of that species, the ecosystem could be drastically different or cease to exist. So in the case of the ecosystem we're talking about, green sea turtles are really important for maintaining seagrass beds, which is a super important ecosystem for a variety of reasons. Being a carbon sink, also a very important nursery habitat for fish, and also a habitat that's in between mangroves and coral reefs, so it's like an important corridor as well. Green sea turtles are one of the few large herbivores that you can find in the ocean. There's very few, what's there, manatees, dugongs,
That's about it.
and that's about it, right? So sea turtles are green sea turtles mainly. What they mainly eat is turtle grass or seagrass. The last year, testudium, I believe is the name. Yeah, I remember that. So yeah, and so they're like the lawnmowers of the ocean. And they're really important for grazing these grasses and keeping that ecosystem healthy, keeping algae overgrowth at bay. So this is one extremely important reason sea turtles conservation is quite important, because these things go on to have, I believe the term is ecosystem, when you evaluate what the ecosystem is worth financially.
All right. it's something.
Basically, but you can't pay ecosystem services. I'm sorry, that's it.
Okay.
So basically, you can't quantify that kind of service that's provided, because it provides protection from storms and stuff like that. So this is trillions of billions of dollars of services that the environment is providing to us, and turtles are helping sustain that as well. Sorry, it lost me for a second there.
So the burning question is what are the ones that we eat? That's what
sea turtles.
Yeah,
the greens.
Okay,
yeah.
the greens. But at what point do you eat them? Like, is there a certain? Are you kind of paying attention to that? And so it's not just always available, and anytime you see a turtle, you can just get that turtle and just that's dinner.
Talk
yes,
more
please.
On that are in that department about it, but
yes.
we have a lot of code and restrictions to them reaching a certain point.
Right, because I think that the listeners might be interested in that, right? Because obviously, I mean, you all are obviously very learned in this area. I see both you and Shauna, you're not even looking at stuff. Like this stuff is in your head, so this is second nature to you. But just thinking about, just the general public and how they view green turtles, right, is a very different thing. So it's always great. But you know what? I'm going to take a quick break and run to the news, and then we'll come back and wrap this up. Would that be all right? You stay with us? Okay. We're going to send out the news now, and we'll be back with more talk today.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Jevi Ebanks. Javier Howell appeared before the Grand Court last Friday, facing 3 counts of possessing an unlicensed firearm. He is yet to enter pleas. Crown Counsel Kenneth Ferguson led the proceedings, which was delayed awaiting Howell's completion of legal aid paperwork and the appointment of new legal counsel. Howell is scheduled to reappear in court on June 21st and will be held at HMP Northward until then. In regional news, Prime Minister Philip Davis of the Bahamas has declared the overhaul of the energy sector a top priority, citing the need to alleviate the high cost and unreliability of electricity for Bahamian families and businesses. The government plans to include the introduction of utility-scale solar power and battery storage in New Providence, along with hybrid microgrids on the Family Islands to foster a more dynamic economy and integrate renewable energy. In Belize, Police Commissioner Chester Williams has refused bail for a police officer accused of raping a female detainee. The officer, responsible for cell block security, allegedly breached protocol by removing the woman from her cell. The case, supported by surveillance footage, is under thorough criminal and internal investigation, with the police force dedicated to upholding integrity and justice. That's your latest headlines. I'm Jevi Ebanks.
Radio
Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
At Kirk Market, it's so easy to eat well and find healthy options. With their fresh veggies from local farmers, hormone-free chicken, local seafood, and grass-fed meats, Kirk Market has delicious, quality food at the best prices. And you must check out their fresh salad bar, hot bar, and med bar for daily healthy options on the go. Their delicious dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients such as prime meats and organic veggies. Eating great is important to me. That's why Kirk Market is my store. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and shop happy.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly. Following a 30-year career with National Bulk Carriers, he was one of few Brackers who worked with Cayman Energy Company doing the ship-to-ship oil transfers off the island in the 1980s. Following a medical injury, he retired from sea and started his own plumbing engineer company, C&H Plumbing, which he owned for 16 years. Prior to relocating to Grand Cayman, he was a volunteer during hurricane emergencies, assisting with the safety of the elderly in his district. Mr. Connolly was one of the original band members of the famous Brac Beach Boys, a member of the Sister Islands Veterans and Seamen's Society, and also a member of the Seafarers Association on Grand Cayman. In 2003, he was one of 500 Seamen Medal honorees for their contribution to the Southwell years.
Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman, WORC, advises customers that their customer care services have moved to Artemis House, located at 67 4th Street, Georgetown. Visit us at the new location for services relating to payments, application submissions, and endorsement stamps. Call us at 945-9672 or visit worc.ky to learn more.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
And welcome back to Talk Today. Turtles, that's on our mind. Green turtles, Cayman Turtle Center. And right before the break, we were talking about, just how important they are. And I think the listeners really I'm always interested in buy-in, right? And always interested in us understanding why something is being done, and when it feels like it's restricting, but that's not really what it is. It's really about conserving, right? For a long time to come. And I think before the break we were kind of getting to that. So can we talk a little bit about Dr. Walter? I think during the break we were talking about the reality
as Shona
of it.
said in her opening, historically there were 2 million turtles in the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands would have been the largest rookery in the whole Caribbean. That would have been part of a population, the total Caribbean and the North Atlantic, of 90 million. Okay, so figure 45 million females, 45 million males, 2 million resident to the Cayman Islands. Then they were discovered, they were fished, they were traded, they were consumed, they supported the livelihoods of many, many people. They were a very important part of our heritage. And the numbers went down quickly with the concerted fishing efforts. So there were an estimated 10,000 taken per year until they basically ran out. And they went to Nicaragua and Honduras to other areas where they could catch turtle. But there were some remnants, and they're the 36,000 that we've released. So they're out there. But how many are really out there? So the DOE estimates that there are between 1 and 200. They also state that in years 2015 to 2019, 20 turtles were known to have been poached. So I think we would all agree that probably more poaching went on than those that were caught poaching. So our inclusion into the market of sustainable supply of turtle meat for local consumption only is a fantastic conservation tool. It protects those last 100 to 200 females from being poached. And if they're gone, then we've got a problem. So I guess the take-home message is it's about conservation. It's beyond being able to eat all that you want, because then we'll run out. And if you witness poaching, call 911 and think about how few there are left, how important they are. It takes 30 years for them to reach sexual maturity and produce the gametes and the babies, and then one night they're gone. So each female's got the capacity for 500 to 1,000 eggs per season when they come back. So that act of taking that mature female really stings. So I'm not saying don't eat turtle meat. I'm just saying think about the balance that we have to maintain going forward, and maybe reserve turtle meat consumption to special occasions. Just think about.
I can jump in here.
Yeah.
You mentioned we went from 2 million down to 100, 200, and the reason that number fell so drastically was they were going after the nesting females, which she had a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting to that point. That also falls on poachers, because poachers are mostly taking nesting females that come up. So we went from 2 million down to a couple of hundred. We only have a couple of hundred. If you take nesting females, it's going to drop drastically over time. So we do just want to enforce the aspect of sustainability. And it doesn't just fall under poaching. They have a multitude of threats out there. So that 1 in 1,000 is dependent on natural predators, right? Doesn't take into consideration things like poachers, doesn't take into consideration boat strikes, it doesn't take into consideration plastics, which has been found in all 7 species of sea turtle. It's also been found in human beings. They're incredibly well made for the marine ocean, and when they're naturally grazing on things like seagrass beds and algae, little microplastics are embedded in this algae. So it doesn't just mean a turtle finding a plastic bag or finding a lantern or a balloon that's been released. These microplastics play a role too, and stay stuck in their stomach and make them feel full when they're not. So even though one might think, I'm taking a turtle to feed my family, maybe, but you're also causing a massive domino effect on the wild population of sea turtles. So I think us as humans, we just need to look at being more sustainable in general, because as we can see, that might not be working. The massive influx of storms and hurricanes we have coming, that massive amount of rain we had is an effect of climate change and how hot it was before. So we all need to sort of reflect on ourselves a bit and find out how to make it a little bit easier. Excuse me, not only for the animals out there, but us too.
Yeah. So, in other words, taking that one turtle to feed your family, that's one meal versus if you leave it
forever and helping our environment and fixing climate change and all those issues. So, massive domino effect.
Right. And it's unbelievable that, when you say it like that, 2 million to 1 to 200, that's like literally almost unbelievable. Right? But that's the reality of it.
That's the reality. Like I said, people say we see loads of turtles around, and you might, but they're juveniles. They're not nesting females laying eggs.
So that's what we're talking about. Yeah. And Dr. Walter, you said it takes up to 20 to 30 years
to reach maturity.
Wow. Yes. So currently, what is the Cayman Turtle Center doing? Are you breeding turtles for the 20 years that we're talking about? Like, is that that a part of the program as well? The programs?
Yeah, definitely the breed and release programs are in effect to counteract that, and we've had success. I said we had turtles that came back, and we did a multi-collaborative study a couple years ago with University of Exeter, Department of Environment, University of Barcelona, that tested the DNA of wild nesting turtles as well as the turtles in our breeder pond, and it found that 90% of the wild nesting females in Grand Cayman are related to our turtles. So that means our release programs are working, and they're very much important to bring back turtles back from the brink of extinction. But that is not only to us in our release programs, it's also in a hand to the hard work that the Department of Environment does to protect wild turtles and their nests too.
So tell me, what is your hope then with the release? You're releasing these 3, and what is the, what is the hope? What happens? What's the plan?
Our hope is for them to survive. And like I said, releasing as head-started turtles, we already massively increase their odds of survival, but also we greatly hope that they age up and become fully mature enough to either come back as males closer to shore and breed, or hopefully as a female that comes back and lays their eggs. And also playing that important role in our marine ecosystem. Climate change is having a huge effect on us, and sea turtles are keystone species that we rely on keeping seagrass beds healthy, coral reefs healthy, which protects us from storms and hurricanes. So we want them to go out there and be protectors, and we need to be protectors for them too.
All right. And remind us again, Whitney, what can the public do, and especially this upcoming weekend? Just tell us what you guys are doing and what the public, how they can become involved. What can the public do?
So if you have any questions or you need more information, you can always head to our social media to fact check all of this info that I'm about to dump. But first off, on Friday, there is Green Friday. We're inviting the public to dress in green to support green sea turtle conservation. They can head to turtle.ky and fundraise and donate to our sea turtle conservation programs. Additionally, we do have the public World Sea Turtle release on Friday at 10 a.m. at Governor's Beach. That is open to the public and free. We will be releasing 3 head-started turtles, so it's a really exciting opportunity to get out there, to meet the Cayman Turtle Center team, ask any questions that you might have, and to see the conservation work actually happening firsthand. And then on Saturday, we have our Sea Turtle Festival Family Fun Day at Cayman Turtle Center, where our education programs team will be hosting some really exciting turtle activities with the DOE Junk and Art for You. Kids can enjoy games, candy, and special prizes, all while getting in for free. All they have to do is bring 3 pieces of plastic.
All right. And you have a turtle that somebody, I guess, can sponsor, or is that?
Yes, we do. Thank you for mentioning that.
Okay.
Yes, we have 1 turtle left to be sponsored for our public turtle release on Friday. So if you are interested in potentially sponsoring the release of that special green sea turtle, you get to name the turtle, you get to take photos with the turtle. Just email info@turtle.ky and we'll get you sorted out, and we will make sure that you get to enjoy the special day with us.
And what are your social media handles for them to follow you or to see what you're up to?
Facebook is Cayman Turtle Center Island Wildlife Encounter, and Instagram is just Cayman Turtle Center.
All right, awesome. And any email that they can email, or any phone number or anything?
Yeah, info@turtle.ky, and I don't know the phone number off the top of my head.
All right, okay. Well, thank you all so much. I mean, any final thoughts on this from any of you?
When you mentioned what we are hoping to achieve with, releasing turtles into the wild, I think we're also looking at the future generation. We would like kids in the future to actually know what a green sea turtle looks like. Imagine them having to go to a museum to say, this is what a green sea turtle was,
Right.
We're really trying to aim for the survival of the species for the future generation.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I was saying that about guavas the other day, because I had three. I had my 3 children that I had in the States, and I brought them here, and they were, 4, 8, and 9, never seen a guava. I was so ashamed of myself. I was just ashamed. Well, you've never done what? And that's one of my favorite fruits. So absolutely, that's not far-fetched, Dr. Navi, at all. No. So we do really have to remember that. And I know you all are doing things in the school as well, like you have some educational programs in the school, or if the school wanted to, do a field trip or something, you have things like that going on as well.
Yeah, so we get school tours on site all the time. We'll also come out to the schools and talk to them. We have a pretty dedicated education programs department that will carry out these talks, and that goes from preschool, sometimes nurseries come, all the way up to university level. So if anyone wants to get involved with that, the email to get in contact with us is schooltours@turtle.ky, but we love to come out and educate people about sea turtles.
Awesome.
Yeah, sorry,
Thank you.
just to add to that, we also do corporate outreach. We have a corporate outreach program as well. So our at talks where we come and do lunch and learns. It's for free. We'll come in for an hour and tailor to you guys. Wherever you are, we'll come to you. And we have 2 talks. We talk about how many came home, which are conservation efforts and the studies we've done with DOE with the turtles that have come back due to our release program, and also one called Iron Men and Wooden Ships, which is about the cultural heritage and the history of turtling. Yeah.
All right. One last question. Is this what you thought you'd do when you grew up? Shona, Wendy, Dr. Navi,
For me, I don't know about this specifically, but I definitely knew when I was younger that I had a passion and a love for animals. Thought I was going to be a vet for the longest time. Sorry, Navi. Interned at the vets. Yeah, interned at the vets. Realized I didn't want to be a vet, but I did want to work with animals in some capacity, and then my family fostered that, my school fostered that, and I went to the UK, studied animal behavior and welfare, and here we are.
All right. What about you, Wendy?
I was just hoping to be rich and not have to work. No, I
wish
I always knew I was going to be in environmental work. I just have a really broad background, so I didn't know if it was going to be corporate or actual hands-on in the field of work. So I'm just happy with being in the space and working towards conservation.
Are you happy to not be in corporate then, right now?
You know what? If there was more policy in place, I would love to transfer over more into that, like environmental impact assessments, waste management, stuff like that. But I think that's a whole nother conversation.
You're still young. You're still young. You got 10 lives to live.
Management does a great job with it.
And Dr. Navi, how did all roads of your veterinarian career lead you to sea turtles?
So I was always interested in zoo and wildlife medicine. So after I graduated from my veterinary degree, I was working at the zoo back home in Trinidad, and I decided to pursue a master's degree in wild animal health to help me with my job at the zoo. And while I was doing that program, conservation medicine was a huge portion of that, and I became so passionate with conservation, and I wanted to help in any way possible. And when I saw that the Cayman Turtle Center were releasing turtles back into the wild, I thought this was a great opportunity to join the team.
All right, Good stuff. Dr. Walter.
Yeah, my background was fisheries, actually, research and nutrition specifically, and some of the problems that we're facing here in our program are very similar to those that I've been through, so it was a great chance to apply with some knowledge and methodology to be involved in solutions.
You've been there a couple of minutes, haven't you?
Been there since 2008.
Yeah. Okay. And of course, Miss Whitney, you have the fun job.
I do. Marketing and events has always been fun, but I will say that, even as a kid, I grew up enjoying the nature in Cayman. I formed my own personal mangrove club. I was super passionate about the environment from a young age. And this is the perfect opportunity to marry my skill set with my passion for protecting Cayman's beauty. So I really enjoy working with these very passionate and intelligent individuals, and it's a cool place to spend some time,
That's good. Well, we're glad to have you. I want to thank you all so much just for what you do every day. Even though maybe we don't understand it all the time, it's very good to have opportunities like this where you can explain and try to break it down in some layman's term for us to understand a little bit. And just, we appreciate your service. I want to thank the Cayman Turtle Center today. My guest, Ms. Shona McGill, who's the Education Programs Officer and Turtle Release Coordinator, Dr. Walter Mustin, who's the Chief Research and Conservation Officer, Dr. Navi, who is the veterinarian, and Wendy Dandy, the education programs officer, and Whitney Foster, the marketing manager. Thank you all so much. And I hope to see you on Saturday, of course, and on Friday at Governor's Beach. And of course, you can still sponsor a turtle. So reach out and follow them on the social media platforms, like, follow, share, and just support them. Thank you all so much. We'll be back with more Talk Today right after this.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Celebrate Father's Day with Digicel. This Father's Day, give Dad the gift of better connectivity with Digicel. Switch Dad to Digicel and get 50% off the plan for the next 3 months. It's the perfect way to show your appreciation and keep Dad connected. Switching is easy. Visit your nearest Digicel store today. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Make this Father's Day one to remember with Digicel. Better connected.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to inform its Cayman BRAC customers that there will be temporary interruptions to water service from Monday 10th June to Friday 14th June between the hours of 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on specified days. Affected streets are West End West Road, Skiff Lane, Coral Avenue, Bert Marson Drive, Cross Road, Sloop Way, Beach Drive, Bright Street, Cliff Avenue, and Legend Drive. Customers who will be affected will receive a door hanger notice, which will be delivered the day before service is scheduled to be interrupted. An additional door hanger notice will also be delivered upon restoration of water service. These service interruptions are to facilitate our ongoing leak detection project. The aim is to enhance our system's integrity by identifying and repairing all possible leaks. We advise customers to store enough water for personal use during service interruptions and limit the use of water-intensive appliances. For further information, customers may contact the customer service team in Cayman BRAC by calling 948-1403 or emailing braccs@waterauthority.ky.
Cayman, mark your calendars for the high-speed thrills of the third round of the 2024 C1 National Tour. Sunday, June 30th at South Sound Dock. Current division leaders Nathan McLean, Joshua Watler, Hayden Green, and Brian Dixon look to defend their top positions on the open waters. But the rest of the pack is on the attack. Gather the family and enjoy a fun-filled day of thrilling races, delicious food, and cool treats. Admission is free. Be there to catch all the action live with the Cayman Islands Watercraft Association. Round 3 of the 2024 C1 National Tour, Sunday, June 30th at South Sound Dock, starting at 11 a.m. Proudly sponsored by Car City, Cayman Islands Coast Guard, Cayman Islands Fire Service, Pepsi, Fast Signs, J&M Equipment, Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage, Party Animals, Sea Breeze Charters and Jet Ski Rentals, Verdant Isle Farm, Health City, Cayman Islands, National Logistics, Onshore IT, Ministry of Tourism and Ports, Radio Cayman, and Breeze FM.
The National Council for Persons with Disabilities is proud to invite members of the public to visit their new website. With this modern, user-friendly design, the site offers accessibility features as well as information and resources for everyone, including persons with disabilities, caregivers, and those with long-term health conditions. The National Council for Persons with Disabilities has been striving to bring accessibility and inclusivity to all residents of the Cayman Islands since 2017. Find out more. Visit www.disabilitycouncil.gov.ky.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The Church of God Chapel's Children's Choir presents Sermon on the Mount. Catch the Spirit for 2 nights only, June 23 and 30. That's 7 p.m. each evening at the Family Life Center on Academy Way and Walkers Road. Admission is free. Bring the whole family and come for great entertainment and inspiration. That's June 23 and 30 at 7 p.m. at the Family Life Center on Academy Way and Walkers Road. Sermon on the Mount. Catch the Spirit.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
And welcome back to Talk Today. Catherine Tyson Sewell. I'm sitting in for Sterling this afternoon and excited that I still, have people in the studio with me, because that's always better than, sitting here trying to get through 2.5 hours by myself. And, I love hearing from you guys. So obviously you can WhatsApp us. And if you wanted, you can go ahead and give a call. We'll be talking about men's health. So it would be nice if you had questions that were related to men's health or to the guests that are in the studio right now. Because I know, we have the regulars that like to call in and talk about things that's happening. But you know what? This is Men's Week. And so we have in the studio with us this afternoon Dr. Obinna and Dr. Murthy and Dr. Jyoti. And we're talking about men's health. So good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So here's what I probably would like you to do then. How about you just introduce yourself? I said your name, but you can just introduce yourself and just talk about kind of what you do and then also what you came to talk about today. So that'll help me, and also the listeners know exactly who's in the studio.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Obinna Eleweanya. I work at the Urgent Care Clinic of Health Service Authority. For the Men's Week, we are going to talk about the way your diet and what you eat affects your health. The title is You Are What You Eat. And I also trained in lifestyle medicine, and so I'm going to be talking mostly from the perspective of lifestyle medicine on that topic.
Okay. All right. Lifestyle medicine. Okay. And
hello, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Sharath Murthy. I'm the radiologist at HSA. So I'll be talking about the radiological aspects of men's health. So basically it starts from screening and diagnostic and therapeutic aspects as well. At HSA we have one of the best CT scans on island as well. And we have other investigations which definitely help in diagnosing particular things. May not be a patient who has symptoms, but also part of general screening. So that can help in different ways to treat diseases which are still about to be picked up. And also as usual, we scan, we do studies for patients who come with symptoms and also for patients who are follow-up and in treating the patients as well.
Okay, all right, great stuff. And Dr. Jyoti.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Jyoti. I'm pathologist, consultant pathologist at the HSA. Basically, a pathologist studies. Pathologist studies and diagnose various infections, most importantly cancers and connective tissue disorders. And here, as my job profile, I also conduct autopsies. I do autopsies. So the area of pathologist ranges from studying and diagnosis and to come to a cause of death. So I'll be talking about progression of cancers, how age and environment can affect cancers and various diseases that are associated with the age.
Okay, all right, great. So Dr. Obinna, let's start with you. What is healthy aging?
Yes, healthy aging. Let's start with what is aging in the first place. We all know that we talk about aging. It is this complex, very orchestrated, I will call it, deterioration in physiological functions as well as aesthetics and look of an individual from the time they are born. In fact, people do not know we start aging right from the day we are born to the point where that same process, we now believe, begin to give room for some chronic diseases that invariably will cause death. So it's something that happens from the time you're born to the time you die. It's a gradual but complex process, and we now understand it so well that one of the things we are going to highlight today is that we can use our lifestyle and the things that we do, especially what we eat, to influence the acceleration of that and perhaps avoid the chronic conditions that come with it.
Okay, so aging is kind of a natural process, right? And so healthy aging is something else. So tell us what healthy aging is then.
Yes, healthy aging came from the fact that we just mentioned that it leads from the time you're born to the time you die. And in between that, you have these chronic diseases that are because of, that are accelerated or perhaps decelerated because of our lifestyle. Now, the World Health Organization recognized a term which before now has not been popular, that lifespan is the time from when you are born to the time you die, but health span is the time when you are at the most vibrant of your life,
right?
Without the intervention of these chronic diseases. So the distance between the time between the end of that vibrancy to the time you die is what we want to close. We want it to be that you live in relatively good health just to the point where you eventually die, without the intervention of those chronic diseases that bring us down. So that's what healthy aging is, being able to live the fullness of your life. We talk about the life in your years rather than the years of your life.
Right, right. So what's the role that lifestyle factors play in, I guess, in aging healthy? What's the role?
Yes, there's a young man called Cortez who, among with his friends, had studied the process. They tried to find those things that cause us to continue to degenerate, so to speak, because the degeneration is that the cells that we were made from, as it continually divide, that's what causes us to grow. Now, that is regeneration of the cells. But at the same time, certain factors influence them that they no longer regenerate, they begin to degenerate. And so depending on the rate, the balance between the regeneration and the degeneration, that's what causes how vibrant your life is. So we now understand that what causes that degeneration are 7 factors that are called hallmarks of aging. They determine the aging process, from the way your genes, which is inherited, to the influence of factors that are outside that now influence the genes. So the Nobel Prize of Medicine was won by a science called epigenetics, which told us that the gene no longer is the sacrosanct thing that determines our life, that it is actually the environment that determine the expression of the gene. So if you can turn on or turn off the genes that are responsible for degeneration, then you are going to live longer. And those factors we now understand are based on lifestyle.
Right. Then lifestyle covers whether you're active, you're exercising, your diet, you're eating well, sleep, stress management, and any of those aren't more important than the other. They're all equally important.
Yes, correct.
Yes. And what is the role that they play in chronic diseases?
Yes, in chronic diseases, every study that has been done, a lot of work has been done. The first observation actually came from places in the world where people were living into their hundreds, called the blue zones, without any form of these chronic diseases, or if they do, they get them very late in life, and they were able to live vibrantly. They were called blue zones. And then the studies that were done in prospective and observational studies, that people who live, we are seeing what are the things that influence them. There was a nurses health study. The Adventists did a study from Loma Linda University called Adventist Study 1, 2, 3, over 46 years, following people and seeing what are the things that determine those who were healthy and those who were not. Incontrovertibly, they found that it is things that you put in your mouth. I call it the 3 M's: your mouth, your muscle, and your mind. So the things you put in your mouth, or the things you are supposed to, the way you use your muscles in terms of activity, and the way you operate your mind, which of course we say includes stress management, your sleep. And there is one that doctors don't talk about a lot, which is social connections. I always want to talk about it. And they now realize that social connections, the way you're active, the way you interact with people, how you generally socialize, somehow influences most of these conditions. So those are the factors that we know influence.
Can I ask you a question then? I know that in this era that we're in, social media, right? You can literally get on your computer or your phone, and you can be on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. You can be on there for 3-4 hours and swear you've been interacting with people. Is it the same? Is it equal? As to, because that's not what we're talking about, right?
Yes, no, that's not. We're talking about the interaction, the real physical interaction. Anybody who have had older folks who are married or stayed together for a long time would have noticed some of the fact that when one of them dies, you can see how it influenced the other, and there is always a sudden deterioration in the health. And that has been done over and over again in terms of observational studies. And in these same places that are called blue zones, they all had something that made them come together and interact, laugh, love each other, not just necessarily the love of companionship, but loving each other and talking to people and laughing. So it is the real interaction. And we think it is one of the things that is creating the environment that we are now, especially now with the social media.
Okay. I mean, because there's also a belief that when you are married or, you're in a committed relationship, you have almost like isolated yourself from the rest of the world. And so when your partner passes away, because you've technically isolated yourself. Right. And so now your world is not as it is because that was your interaction to the rest of the world. Yeah. And so I guess they would have to look to see if the studies show that somebody that was single and had a very vibrant life was able to still live to a long life versus, you know what I mean? Yes. That was just,
those were just observations. I mean, yes. the main thing is they know that they found out, they measured them. There are certain hormones that we have found to be more in persons who actually do interact with people. And those are hormones that are now known to influence health positively.
Yeah, for sure. I'm only saying that because I'm married right now. And I don't go out as much as I used to when I wasn't.
Right.
So that part of my life is like my socialization would be more with my husband versus before it was with my friends, and you know what I mean, like doing a lot more social activities. It's generally he and I if we're going to do something together and stuff like that. So it's that's why I said that. It's all very interesting now, but just looking at just in terms of our cancer or obesity, and this study that you talked about from Loma Linda with the mouth, the muscle, the mind, right? These are things that will affect these sorts of diseases that we have, that we can contract. Correct?
Yes. If you look at it very closely, you'll also see there were things that were coincidental. In the early time of our living on Earth, children, it was found that children did not live beyond 5. Most of them were cut down by infections and infestations. But when vaccination and penicillin were discovered, it suddenly improved our lifespan from about 40 to about 60. But coincidentally with that change came industrial and agro-revolution. So while we were living towards 60 and more, they now realized that a lot of people began to contract diseases and disorders that were not originally there. And they found out that it was those lifestyle modifications that created them. Okay. And it's not just that. Studies now show that people who are able to avoid them, so if you eat things that are mostly from the soil without process and all of that, that's the studies that the nursing study and that's what they did. They followed people who were having those type of lifestyle and those who were not, and there was evidence that those who adhered to the correct lifestyle were the ones who were able to live longer, not just living longer. And that's why aging is now thought to be related strongly to those disorders.
Okay. And so can we talk maybe a little bit later into the conversation just about maybe some of the things that people can do in terms of being active or certain diet things, or we can talk about that a little later on. Yes. I want to bring the other doctors into the conversation. We're going to take a little break. Do we take a break right now? Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more. Stay tuned. We're talking about men's health. It's Men's Week, and we have some doctors in the studio from the HSA, and we'll be back with more talk today right after this.
Celebrate Father's Day with Digicel. This Father's Day, give Dad the gift of better connectivity with Digicel. Switch Dad to Digicel and get 50% off the plan for the next 3 months. It's the perfect way to show your appreciation and keep Dad connected. Switching is easy. Visit your nearest Digicel store today. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Make this Father's Day one to remember with Digicel. Better connected.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Cayman, mark your calendars for the high-speed thrills of the third round of the 2024 C1 National Tour. Sunday, June 30th at South Sound Dock. Current division leaders Nathan McLean, Joshua Watler, Caden Green, and Ryan Dixon look to defend their top positions on the open waters. But the rest of the pack is on the attack. Gather the family and enjoy a fun-filled day of thrilling races, delicious food, and cool treats. Admission is free. Be there to catch all the action live with the Cayman Islands Watercraft Association. Round 3 of the 2024 C1 National Tour. Sunday, June 30th at South Sound Dock, starting at 11 a.m. Proudly sponsored by Car City, Cayman Islands Coast Guard, Cayman Islands Fire Service, Pepsi, Fast Signs, J&M Equipment, Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage, Party Animals, Sea Breeze Charters and Jet Ski Rentals, Verdant Isle Farm, Health City, Cayman Islands, National Logistics, Onshore IT, Ministry of Tourism and Ports, Radio Cayman, and Breeze FM.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad had taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
And welcome back to Talk Today. Catherine Tyson Sewell, I'm sitting in for Sterling this afternoon and talking to a few doctors from the HSA, and we're talking about Men's Week, men's health, healthy aging. Obviously, I talk to the women all the time about the men in their lives, and because women, we feel one little pain, we gone to the hospital. I can tell you that. We have a doctor on speed dial. We have no problems going to the doctor, checking ourselves out. But men, it's a little bit different, right? And so but preventing things is obviously what the old people used to say, prevention is better than cure. Yeah. So we're talking to Dr. Obinna, Dr. Murthy, and Dr. Jyoti, and we're going to just talk a little bit to Dr. Murthy about some diagnosis stuff.
Yeah. As you told, men usually think they are superhumans. They have that feeling that, okay, we don't suffer any kind of diseases. But it's not true always. So as Dr. Obinna told, as aging, we find a lot of changes in your body. To give some examples, one of the most common things what we see with aging is neurodegenerative diseases. That can be Alzheimer's, that can be Parkinson, all these things. So even though all these things can be clinically found out, it's better we do investigate and find out the exact reason. So it may be just to confirm the diagnosis of Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Also, sometimes we have to rule out brain tumors and other things as well. So in the same way, we have to do regular checkups, like we could take a carotid artery ultrasound. So that's a simple procedure where we can see whether there is any blocks or any clots within your carotid arteries. So that can predispose a patient to stroke in the future. So if we found out the plaque or the blockage in the carotid arteries, so it can be treated with either by medications or by surgery, depending upon how big or how much the clot is. So in this way, we can actually prevent serious conditions like stroke and other things. In the same way, coming to heart diseases, so as we know that men usually suffer from cardiac disease more than the women. When women in their menstrual periods, time, they usually have this estrogen and progesterone, which are usually cardioprotective. So they protect the heart from these diseases. But once they attain menopause, so they are equally as susceptible as men. So men usually start earlier than compared to women. So there are a lot of investigation what we can do as a preventive procedures. So we can do a simple calcium score, which is nothing but finding out the calcium within the coronary arteries, which is a major blood vessel to the heart. So this can be done as a screening procedures patient who have risk factors, who have family history, who have diabetes, hypertension, all these things. So it's a simple procedure where you don't need any kind of preparations. They can come in, lie on the CT table, get the scan done in 5 minutes, and the results will be there as well. So that will show whether the patients are prone for cardiac diseases in the future, whether they may end up in having a cardiac diseases like heart attack and other things. So this can be treated again with medications, and if needed, we can do a CT angiogram as well, which is almost as equal as a cath angio, where the cath angio we usually put a catheter inside vessels and goes to the heart and inject the dye and see for clots. In the same way, in the CT coronary angiogram can be done without the invasive procedure. So a simple dye will be injected into the veins, and it will actually, when done at the right place, it's as equal as doing a cath angio. So in this way, actually, we can prevent heart attacks and other things if we do the investigations earlier. In the same way, we have a lot of other things as well. We can do a CT colonography, where patients who doesn't want to get a regular colonography, and patients who have high risk, particular with patients with polyps or has family history of colon cancer, they can get a CT colonogram, which is a simple procedure again. So air is inflated into the rectum and the CAT scan is done. So there is no other sedation or invasive procedures like the colonography. Or it can be done in patients who had colonography and had findings as a part of surveillance as well. And also when sometimes the colonography can be inconclusive, so sometimes they may not able to go to some certain parts of the bowel. So then CT will definitely help. And in the same way, once CT colonography is done, so it actually shows the other organs as well. So it has added benefit when compared to CT colonography. And nowadays it's FDA approved investigation as well. In the same way, the FDA approved investigations includes low score CT thorax as well, which is for lung cancer, which is well documented nowadays. So the patients will go through the risk factors and see whether they are eligible to get a low dose CT scan done. So this is a very simple procedures, and the CAT scan what we have at HSA has the radiation from that is pretty less, because when we have a 128 slice CT, the radiation will be very less. It's just like taking a flight to London and coming back. So the same amount of radiation you're exposed to that will be the same radiation what we get from a low dose CT.
Okay.
So these investigations definitely help to diagnose in early stage and prevent major mishaps. And one more thing is sometimes we do come across a new term, what you call as andropause. Like menopause, the males also had something called as andropause, where what happens is after 30 years of age, the testosterone level starts coming down, and every year 1% comes down. So what happens is testosterone is something very important hormones for men, because it has, other than a sexual drive, it helps in musculoskeletal muscle building. It also has regular, it controls central obesity and all other things. So what happens is those things can be clinically diagnosed as well in lab parameters as well. But also there are other causes like testicular cancers, scrotal, other things. So all these things can be investigated at an early phase, and the right treatment can be put on.
Right. Dr. Murthy, you tell them people they don't have to send no questions for you. You can answer your own questions. I don't know what to ask you now. That was amazing. The only question that I would ask then is, all of these things that you just mentioned, that they're, men are able to get like all this testing, like is it available that they can just go and ask to get these tests done? Or is it just maybe a regular checkup? You go to your doctor and then some of these things are tested for? Is that how that works?
Yeah, most of the things are the physicians are the first line of defense in all these things. So any person can visit their family physician or the physician at first. So they will assess what risks are there. So a person can have a risk to heart diseases. A person can have a risk to stroke. Some person have colon issues. So the physicians will be the first line of defense. So they investigate, they come to a conclusion which are the needed things. As such, you can just get a general health checkups done as well sometimes, which is quite common these days. And we at HSA, we have all the investigation what I told. So even like a carotid Doppler or the calcium scoring or coronary angiogram. But it's always better to meet the physician and get the proper investigation to be done as well.
Right, because some of these things things I imagine maybe just taking like blood works and stuff can kind of show some things that you need to further investigate. Am I correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So some things will be easily diagnosed in the blood investigation as well. But to confirm, we have to get the investigation done. So what we are doing this is evidence-based medicine. So everything we diagnose should have evidence. Either it should be a lab parameters or radiological parameters. So based on that, the treatment happens.
Okay. And what about a DEXA body scan? What is a DEXA body scan?
DEXA body scan is a simple study. It's just like getting X-ray done. The patient comes to the DEXA room and lies down, and a simple scan is done within 2 minutes. So it's something which newly we have installed in HSA. So DEXA studies tells about the bone density. It tells how strong the bone is. So it doesn't only tell about the bone density. It also tells about the fat composition in the body as well. Whether, again, the fat can be two types. One could be the subcutaneous fat, what we see in the tummy and other areas, and the visceral fat, the fat which is deposited in the organs like liver and other places. So it can actually differentiate and tell which is the healthy fat and which is the abnormal fat as well. So sometimes what happens is when obesity increases, the fat starts depositing in different organs, and sometimes it's deposited in organs like liver as well, what we call as fatty liver and all. So sometimes it's better to evaluate everything as such. So DEXA, we classify into 3 things once the report comes: normal, osteopenia, and osteoporosis. Osteoporosis in the bone is very weak, it's very brittle, so it's about to break. So that kind of thing. And as you know, the osteopenia comes in between. So patients can get the DEXA scan done who have the risk factors. The risk factors can be obesity, who are on chronic steroids treatment, who are on chemotherapy drugs, also patients who have thyroid issues, parathyroid issues, and other things. So these can affect the metabolism of bones. So, and again, patients we can diagnose all these things on the bone scan. And once it's treated, it's easy. I mean, once we know the diagnosis, it's easier for the patients to be treated as well. And they can be put on vitamin D, all other calcium and other things depending upon what is the exact cause for bone density. Another thing is, again, it's important for the patients who want to get into physical activity and other things. So if you have to know whether the bones are weak, so if they get into physical activity, they might end up breaking their bones and other things. So it actually gives a clearance for other investigations as well.
Sounds like it's probably something that a lot of people should consider doing.
Yeah, exactly,
And I used to do interviews, Medical Mondays for Health City, and I spoke with a lot of Indian doctors every Monday, and what they would say to me is that the issues that they see in Cayman are very different than the issues they saw in India. So obesity wasn't something that you saw in India a lot, but it's something that you see in Cayman a lot. And that's quite interesting because I think we don't realize that, and we don't realize that we're not as active as we should be, and maybe our diet is very different. And so men need to pay attention to that also, correct?
Exactly. So what has happened is we broadly classify diseases as communicable and non-communicable, either the infectious or non-infectious. So this part of the world, the non-infectious diseases are most common: diabetes, hypertension. So those are actually the major killer for both men and women, but particularly men are more prone for that.
Right.
So this spectrum is totally different, and we quite ignore all this.
We're gonna talk some more. We're gonna take a break, and I think we're gonna go to the news and a couple of other messages. But I want to come back and I want to bring Dr. Jyoti in on the conversation, and we can talk about the pathological side as well as some suggestions for healthy aging, and just basically kind of a call out for men to pay attention to their health and get checked. Yeah. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back with more Talk Today.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Jevi Ebanks. Kimberly Rivers entered guilty pleas on Friday in Grand Court to 1 count of causing harassment, alarm, or distress, and 1 count of using threatening words. The charges stem from an incident on the 3rd of June 2022. Following her guilty pleas, the prosecution told Justice Cheryl Richards KC no evidence would be offered in the remaining charges, which were not read out in court. Rivers was released on bail pending sentencing, expected in a few weeks. In regional news in Guyana, following severe weather on Sunday, the Chedi-Jagan International Airport has restored one circuit for runway lighting, allowing the resumption of night flight operations. Despite ongoing efforts to repair a second circuit, operations have been hampered by the rerouting of flights over the last 48 hours. The Ministry of Public Works confirmed that heavy rain and lightning had damaged equipment, including transformers, leading to the temporary inoperability of runway lights. The CGIA maintenance team, with the assistance from Guyana Power Limited, is actively working to resolve the issue. Meanwhile, the airport has managed to accommodate several flights and is preparing to fully reinstate night operations, thanking everyone for their patience during the service disruptions. The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, is organizing a symposium on June 13th to 14th to address suicide prevention, a significant public health issue in the Caribbean and the Americas. The event aims to foster discussions on research advancements, intervention strategies, and policy development for suicide prevention. Symposium's objectives include reviewing current knowledge on suicide, sharing national experiences, and promoting multi-sector collaboration to prevent self-harm and suicide. That's your latest headlines. I'm Jyoti Ebanks.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
And welcome back to Talk Today. Catherine Tyson Sewell. I'm sitting in for Sterling. And what's on our mind right now? Men's Week and healthy aging and men's health. And we are here with Dr. Obinna, Dr. Murthy, and Dr. Jyoti from HSA. And we're going to talk to Dr. Jyoti now. We've been talking about the preventative side of, issues with aging, as well as we're talking about the diagnosis side of it, and now I think we're going to talk about the pathological side of it. So I'll bring Dr. Jyoti into the conversation. You have your set of notes, so you go ahead and lead me.
Yeah. Thanks for considering me as a part of this discussion. So really happy to see that we are celebrating Men's Week. But what I always say is, love it and leave it. Love it to live it. So Dr. Obinna and Dr. Murthy have already elaborated various aspects of men's health and healthy aging, as well as various modalities of screening. So as a pathologist who has a privy to look into the microscopical level at the tissues, and at the other side, I always I also get access to see the internal organs when I do the autopsies. I get to know the other side of the medicine. So what I think is to create awareness about the life, how important it is and how intricate it is, and later on when we are aware, then we can enjoy by doing certain modifications of in lifestyle, as well as knowing certain health related aspects which can be prevented in future, which we call primordial prevention. Suppose if I have a disease running in my family, when I come to know that around 15 or 20 years of my life, I can adjust my lifestyle according to that. That's called primordial prevention. So it's something prevention of the disease before it's occurred. So at a molecular level or a genetic level, we go through different stages like conception, maturation, as well as being strong. Later on, the body cells start becoming old, then later on death. So at the peak of our health, our body structures are completely normal. So what we also have to think is when we are happy and hale, at the subcellular level or macroscopical level, things keep on changing, like sublethal or very subtle changes in a genetic damage that keeps on happening throughout the world, throughout life. So, but the body mechanisms are such that when there is a damage happening, repair also happens. So as the age advances, because of various insults like oxygen-derived free radicals which can injure the cell, environmental factors, chemicals, so they all injure the cell, but the body's, because of degeneration, body's mechanisms to repair the DNA will be waning off. So that is the time there is a major imbalance between the metabolism and the repair activity. So that is the time we are prone for various cancers we call multi-step cancerogenesis, or cancer doesn't happen just in a day. It happens over the period of years or decades. So when we consider that the things are happening at a subcellular level or subcellular level, and also we have to see that there are certain aspects of these abnormalities that are manifested outside, like precancerous conditions like leukoplakia or white patch in the mouth. And when we screen ourselves, we can also know atrophic gastritis and maybe villous adenoma, or maybe small patches over our external genitalia and chronic non-healing ulcers. These are the external signs that something is happening within. So these are precancerous stages. And when we subject ourselves for some simple blood investigations like a PSA testing, as well as stool testing for occult blood, then if there are certain cancers which are happening at a stage 1, we can know those occurrence of cancers. And at this stage, and at a precancerous as well as stage 1, I think more than 90% of the cancers are curable. So I advise people to be aware of these kind of things, as well as get ourselves checked through simple investigations, and not to neglect our health. Whenever there are few changes occurring on our body, just report it discuss with our physician and see whether it is a subtle change which can be neglected, or think that is really to be really it's worrisome. So
right,
those are the two things I wanted to emphasize.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm hearing is, if you take methods to prevent, that's the first line of defense, right? And then the second obviously would be investigating, right? Going beyond that. And then now we can treat it. But there are methods to find out what's happening with you in order for you to kind of nip it in the bud early.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Because not looking into something it's not going to go away. So if it's there, as you're saying, cancer can occur over decades, right? In the body, and you're not aware of it. So to be on top of that really is the best suggestion, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially once you are 50, although we look apparently healthy, better is to get a colonoscopy or endoscopy of the stomach, so that if there are any lesions such as villous adenomas, which may be looking all right, but they have a 50% chance of going to pure cancer.
Right.
So these things can be screened, as well as once you are 50 and once you are hereditary, once you are prone in your genes, you have to get PSA tested, so that if the PSA is more, then we can go for further testing.
Right.
As well as in autopsies, I've seen many nodules which are potentially malignant, which are potentially cancerous, especially of the lung. So these can be detected early, and once we detect and once we subject ourselves for the early treatment, then we are cured of these malignancies or cancers forever.
Right. What is the, either of you can answer this, kind of what is the correlation between obesity and some of these chronic illnesses?
Yes, maybe I might try to
Dr.
do that.
Obinna.
First of all, I'm going to say something. I just listening to Dr. Jyoti and Dr. Murthy. Something has cropped up in the fact that we witness how HSA have kind of realigned their services to bring out some of these things to the fore when they created the urgent care and separated it from the general practice and the emergency department. So that vision was to actually bring what we are talking about to the fore, that people can now have easy access. There's no reason for anybody to stay at home and linger, especially for men. Since we are talking about men,
or wait for hours
or
to
wait
be
for hours.
seen.
And,
there's a middle, right?
Yes, we are now open. Whenever you see anything on your body that is not what you are used to, and sometimes based on what Dr. Jyoti is saying, there are things you would have seen on your body, but you begin to notice a change in their character. Those are the things that you should come to the hospital for. And so the fact of going to wait in the emergency room before, when we just had the emergency room, is no longer there. There's an urgent care. Or if it is something that you're not sure, you can make an appointment to go to the general practice. So all of that men no longer have the reason not to go and check, and so that they can be screened. That's what you're talking about. They can be looked at, examined, and some of these factors may be brought to their attention, and if necessary, sent to the appropriate screening.
Right.
Based on that, one of the things I want to also highlight for men today, before we go to the obesity, is that there is a new thing that is in the medical community that is called the disposable soma theory of aging. The disposable soma theory means that by evolution, and people who are spiritual talk about creation, everything about us as humans is based on our ability to replenish the earth, which is to create our own kind. And so when we are built with all the necessary factors and kept at vibrancy to do that, and once we complete that in terms of achievement, and this begins for women and men, begins to happen somewhere between 45 and 50. Once we complete that, they are now saying that may be, in fact, somebody looked at this from a shell of an egg protecting the reproductive part of us.
Right.
Once we complete that shell is disposable.
Okay.
So that's where most of these factors, our aging begins to accelerate, and all the changes begin to happen. Dr. Murthy was talking about testosterone in women, bone density deterioration. You notice suddenly things begin to happen to us. That can be further accelerated, of course, by a lifestyle, like I said earlier, and also kind of decelerated or reduced by also changing some factors in our lifestyle. Obesity happened to be a common factor in almost all of them. We now understand that our body was made to carry just a certain amount of fat tissue. Everything is, the way I tend to tell patients, is like a pump. Starting from a little heart that has been beating from we were 2 weeks in the womb or so, that have not stopped, that have not rested for all this time. It was made to just supply water to Georgetown, and suddenly you are asking it to begin to supply to additional areas, West Bay and Georgetown, and maybe Prospect. That becomes a pressure on it, and we now see that pressure on almost every organ begins to happen once we begin to add weight. The factors that create the environment for us to add weight is beyond the scope of this, but we now understand that they are all things that once we are conscious of it, understand it, there are points where we can do something about them. And that, again, comes down to those factors that we described earlier, which is our diet, exercise, and, of course, the way we reduce stress. So obesity is somewhere at what I call the interception of most of these factors when it begins to create the environment for the deterioration of other factors that lead to aging and almost all the diseases that we know. Studies have been done to correlate obesity with almost all these diseases, from diabetes to hypertension to cardiac disorders to cancers, certain types of cancers that at least have been studied, and of course the brain, which is dementia. In fact, we now understand that dementia or Alzheimer's is now called type 3 diabetes, which we now understand has to do again with our diet and exercise. I also call it the energy management system. So just like our batteries of our phone, if you're putting gas or fuel into your body and you're not using that fuel to generate the type of energy that is equivalent, for which all the cells use that management system to function optimally, then you are now creating an environment for dysfunction. That's the way I just see it. Every system with energy management mechanisms, if you put too much energy without using that energy, you disrupt the system. And so you have to, there has to be some output. So diet and exercise. And in coordinating all of them is our mind, which is the central component of us. And to reduce the stress, sleep, and of course avoid the use of substances are the most important aspect of the mind, at least as we know it.
Yeah, as you said, it's like a vicious cycle. So when you're obese, you don't exercise. When you don't exercise, you add weight. So the cycle keeps going on.
Right,
so,
right. We're going to take our last break of the show, but we'll be back to wrap up the conversation with the HSA doctors, Dr. Obinna, Dr. Murthy, Dr. Jyoti, and we're talking about men's health because it is Men's Week, and it's awesome that I have 3 men doctors talking about this. So when we come back, I'm going to be asking you all some tips that for the men listening or the women listening that they can tell their men, to start maybe, start small and just to be on top of their healthy aging process. We'll be back with more talk today. Stay tuned.
Celebrate Father's Day with Digicel. This Father's Day, give Dad the gift of better connectivity with Digicel. Switch Dad to Digicel and get 50% off the plan for the next 3 months. It's the perfect way to show your appreciation and keep Dad connected. Switching is easy. Visit your nearest Digicel store today. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Make this Father's Day one to remember with Digicel. Better connected.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Just in time for summer. It's the sizzling hot appliance sale at Brand Source Home Gallery. Save 25% off all appliances now until the end of June. That's 25% off on all appliances at Brand Source. Don't miss this opportunity to replace aging appliances and get 1 year plus warranty on new appliances. The sizzling hot appliance sale now until the end of June at Brand Source, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Call 623-5000 for details.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
What's on our mind, Cayman? Lots of things today. We're talking about the Cayman Turtle Center and the green turtles and part of our history. And of course, this weekend, you can go out to the festival that they're having at the Cayman Turtle Center. Children under 12 are free. Adults are $15. So you can do that and get involved with all the activities. And there's also a release for the turtles on Friday morning at 10 o'clock on the Governor's Beach if you wanted to go out and see that. Wear green, apparently, and you can still sponsor a turtle. So that'll be awesome. I want to thank you guys so much just for being a part of my week and my week and 2 days that I've been sitting in this chair. Appreciate you all the calls and the messages and the guests. It's been amazing. Of course, if you want to catch me, I will be on the CTS Wind Down show. That's on Fridays from 4 to 5. So please tune into that if you wanted to support me or listen up, and also if you wanted to come on for an interview, just reach out to me. You can find me on social media anywhere. So that's TCS Wind Down, and that's on 89.1. That is Bobo FM, and that's Fridays 4 to 5. All right, but thank you all so much. I really appreciate the support. We are going to finish up the conversation with our doctors that's in the studio from the HSA, talking about men's health. It is Men's Week, and we're talking about healthy aging. Dr. Obinna, Dr. Murthy, and Dr. Jyoti, thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. It is very, very important that men are talking to men, because women talking to men sometimes might fall on deaf ears, right? But you all are men, and you can say, come on, get a wellness check, get a PSA, get a scan, whatever it takes, get the DEXA body scan, because it's better than the BMI you were saying, Dr. Obinna. Right? And it's better to determine obesity, and knowing that some of the diseases that we're dealing with could have been prevented. And as Dr. Jyoti said during the break, well, it was both of you, Dr. Obinna, so two of them, and they came up with a phrase that I think should go on a mug or a T-shirt. The key is to catch it early to get rid of it permanently. Boom. Great. Mic drops. Okay. Very, very good. Any advice for men that are listening, or the women that are listening that have the men in our lives? Father's Day is coming up on Sunday. We want to take care of our men. We want them to be around for a long time, healthy, so they can take care of us.
Yes.
Right. So any advice for the men, just based on all of our conversation today?
Yeah, based on this Father's Day, that's why this week is celebrated as Men's Week.
Yes.
So what we have to emphasize is that we need not wait until we get disease. So it's always better to come. It's always the conception that we have to come to the hospital when you're not healthy. So sometimes now it's like we have to come to the hospital when you are healthy to check that we not become unhealthy. So nothing should stop men or women to come into the hospital and get them checked. So as I told, after 50 years, 40, 50 years, you're prone for more diseases and other things.
Your body's been around a long time.
So you have to come to the hospital, get it checked, even though when you're healthy. So
Right.
a lot of screening tests. So nothing should stop you from coming to the hospital.
So it's like don't just pray when there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like just pray all the time, right? Yeah.
So we all have to know that aging is a dynamic process. It will never stop.
Right.
There will be a lot of changes. There will be a lot of genetic damage, and there will be changes within our organs. So we are not what we were 10 years ago. That's
Right.
what we all should realize. And we have to halt that progression of any disease by restricting our activities if they are bothering us.
Right.
So get ourselves checked as soon as possible. Make sure that we relax once the tests are normal. So,
Right. And you're really taking care of yourself for the people that you love, right? Because I always say that, that if you just think about dying or you think about passing on, like you're fine, you're gone, but it's the people that you leave behind. So if you have people in your life that you love and you care about, you want to be okay to be with them for as long as you can, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Catherine, what you've just said is very profound, because that's where we are trying to get this from. The 3M concept of mouth, muscle, and mind. The mind, it starts from the mindset, which is to know why. Why are you doing this? You have to try and understand that it's no longer just about yourself, that you have to do things, take the lifestyle modifications, the lifestyle measures that depend on what you eat in your mouth, what you put in your mouth. We are advising that you go to the greens, to the plant-based diet as much as you can, for as long as you can, and also avoid ultra-processed food as much as you can, as long as you can. Do some exercise. The muscle part is just to move. It's no longer, you don't have to go to the gym, you don't need gym membership, just brisk walking in the mornings. And for men in their healthy time, add a little strength training, balance training, coordination to it. And then for the mind, reduce stress, which means you can't avoid stress, but you can reduce it by having quiet moments at the end of the day and breathing, trying to sleep as long as you can, and also avoid the substances.
Right.
Spirit alcohol, smoking, those are the worst part.
Right.
They are going to be your enemies.
Yeah.
So if you do all of this, the chances are, whatever it is, the disease condition that you think is your destiny, you can switch the genes off.
Right. Stay out of the bars
That's
chasing those young girls.
Exactly.
If
That's
it's
what
not
the
alcohol, it's
genetics
going to be something. Exactly, right? It's so true. I'm going to ask you, last question. What do you eat? Tell me what you eat. What does one meal look like for you? Lunch or dinner?
For me, like I said, it's just a balance. The balance with particular predilection for plant-based diet. So
Yes.
these are things, I call it the Garden of Eden concept. So whatever you're eating, ask yourself, is this something that is coming from the soil? Is this something that is green coming from the soil? And that is should be the most important thing in your plate.
Okay.
Avoiding the ones that have gone through the machine. So corn is corn, but when you grind it, it becomes flour, and it changes immediately in what is called glycemic index, and therefore the health benefit of it changes as well.
Okay.
So you eat things that are not processed, that come from the soil. So in the morning, you can just steam vegetables, add a little bit of any form of protein that you want. We tend to ask people to use plant-based proteins, which are mostly your peas, your beans in it. So I come from a culture that has a way of making recipes that are different, but you find your own recipe.
Right.
Especially, do not limit yourself to culture, because everything now is unified. You can find recipes on the internet as long as they are plant-based.
Okay.
That's basically it. So there's no specific thing I can just point out.
Right.
That's what I
Okay.
eat on a
Dr.
daily basis.
Murthy, what do you do for exercise?
Exercise.
And he's young too, so he
Yeah,
he has another 20 years.
I played tennis as well. I did gym and sometimes jog as well. So
Good stuff.
That actually helps a lot. If
Yes.
you have a long day, you go for a jog or walk.
Tennis, gym, jog, but you can choose one if you're over 50. All right.
Yeah, it's not only good for your body; it's good for your mental health as well.
Right.
So it increases your endorphins release. They actually a happy pill, so
Absolutely.
it keeps you happy as well.
Oh, that's good. Happy pill. And Dr. Jyoti, you were talking about you walk in the afternoon, but you said meditation.
Yeah. So we all should know that mind is the one that controls everything on the body. So when mind is fit, everything will be within your control. So every day I tend to meditate at least 10-15 minutes. Meditation may not be very ritual or it may not be religious, but you go and sit in a nice quiet place for 15 minutes. That's enough. That will bring down all our blood pressure and other things to a basal level. So in addition to what Dr. Obinna and Dr. Murthy said, I say your meditation and yoga and other activities which can soothe your mind.
Nice.
Important.
Okay. Yeah. And so I think, Dr. Obinna, that covered our mouth, muscle, and mind.
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. It has been an incredible conversation, and I really, look forward to our men really just, signing up for their healthy aging. Thank you all. Dr. Obinna, Dr. Murthy, Dr. Jyoti. Thank you all so much, too, for listening for Talk Today. Talk Today will be back same time, same place tomorrow, and I think Sterling will be in his chair. Have a great afternoon.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.